Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. For the video today, I wanted to sit down and just have a bit of a casual chat and share my experience 1 year on from having my hysterectomy. I have a few videos about adenomyosis, and when I had my hysterectomy, I had a little bit of a vlog, and I think I might have updated at the 3 or 6 month mark, little things that I noticed, so I'll make sure I link those up and down below. But as I've just gone past the 1 year mark, a couple days ago when I sit down to film this, I was mulling over everything and sort of thinking about the ways that my life has changed, and I thought I'd share that with you today in case you have stumbled across this video and are about to have this surgery, or if you've just had it, to give you a bit of an idea on my experience and what to expect. Of course, I do want to explain, in case it isn't clear, I did have my hysterectomy because of adenomyosis. I think that it would be a very different experience if you needed it for other medical conditions, or potentially if you choose to do it and a doctor will do that for you, or there's many different reasons why you might have it done. This is just from my standpoint. So I think I look at it as a bit more of a positive thing, since when I say having my hysterectomy, that kind of goes hand in hand with alleviating pain, if that makes sense. So without going too much in circles, I'm just going to get started. I've made a couple notes and I'm just going to go through the different facets of my life and how they've changed since I had that surgery. So I guess first things first, I will actually have to repeat myself here from a previous video and say that for me the surgery was way less painful than any cramps or period pain or just daily pain that I experienced throughout, I think, the past 15 years prior to having my surgery, especially towards the end, because the pain was getting really bad at the end and I effectively had no quality of life. So for me to wake up after the surgery, I was in very minimal amounts of pain. Of course, I reflected on this a lot deeper in my hysterectomy vlog, but to put into perspective, I think the most painful part for me was the kind of packing tampon that they placed after surgery. And it was just uncomfortable. It wasn't even that painful. So hopefully that gives you an indication it wasn't painful at all. I think that just proves how much pain I was in prior from the adenomyosis. And a quick side note, I'm going to try and not go off on tangents too much, but adenomyosis can be cured by hysterectomy. Endometriosis can't. But I do think some women choose to get the hysterectomy with endo because obviously then they're not dealing with periods, but it doesn't get rid of the condition. Like, I still have endometriosis. I think for me though, my pain was very revolved around the adenomyosis. Now, without waffling on too much, I just wanted to go through a couple of things, big and small, that I've noticed since having that surgery. And I'll start with the obvious. No more pain from my adenomyosis. I do want to mention that I have endometriosis as well, and I have had some odd pains, even phantom period pains, which is very weird because I don't have a uterus, but I haven't had the heavy 10 out of 10 pain that I used to experience daily. And an obvious one that was kind of cause for the pain was the bleeding. I don't have periods anymore, obviously, and that is just such a huge difference in terms of pain and even lifestyle wise, because I was really trapped at home a lot of the time from the side effects from this condition, and I just feel so free from having this surgery and preventing the pain and also the bleeding. Something that went hand in hand with the bleeding was, of course, pain, which I did mention, and fatigue. I was incredibly iron deficient even after having iron infusion and iron tablets. I was still so tired all the time, but on the same hand, I still had insomnia from the pain. I would wake up in the middle of the night, and there were so many nights that I would end up in my bathtub with boiling hot water just to try and relax and ease off the pain. I'm sure anyone watching this with endometriosis or adenomyosis knows about the burns that you literally cause yourself to try and prevent the pain. From heat packs, obviously, baths, things like that. I still actually use a heat pack every now and then for my back, but I will say obviously the pain in my stomach is gone. Obviously with the fatigue and the insomnia, that is all resolved. Again, While I still have endo, I think it isn't as bad and doesn't affect me as much as the adenomyosis did, because I have had so many good nights of sleep and I just feel like I have a lot more energy since the life isn't being sucked out of me, obviously. Along the same lines with the relief of fatigue, I guess, I now work full-time. For a while at the end there, I think the past 2 years with my condition, I definitely was not able to work a full 8-hour day. I worked 6-hour days, and even that would just drain me. Now I'm working full-time and I'm so happy to be able to work a job that, I guess, for one, I enjoy because I changed jobs right after my surgery, but two, work more hours and earn more money. That's really nice. And kind of along the same lines there, I'm actually saving so much money since this surgery. I worked it out and I wish I could remember now 100%, but back when I had the surgery, I sort of calculated how much money I was spending on painkillers, birth control, days off, because I had run out of my paid days off for sick leave. So I think I was, and bear with me because this number sounds quite shocking, I was probably losing $200 a month every single month for this condition. Other areas of my life that you might or might not expect that have improved are my relationships, both with my husband, because I think I'm a lot less irritable without that pain. Our sex life has improved as well, who would have thought, because without the constant bleeding, I'm actually able to live a life. I feel like my social life and friendships have improved because I'm no longer stuck at home, not being able to leave the house, being bedbound basically. There were a lot of times where I'd be invited to things and sometimes I would say yes and dip out last minute, or I would go and just not be having a great time from pain, or any number of other circumstances, but my social life was definitely impeded by the pain. I've just felt so much more free day to day from not carrying so many painkillers at all times, pads, and my little TENS machines. While they were good to have, I feel like I was carrying like definitely a big handbag full of things or a backpack at all times with my necessities, and I couldn't go anywhere without them. I definitely wouldn't have been able to go on trips like I did earlier this year to Hamilton Island and have such a good time if I was still struggling with the pain. I was able to relax and be adventurous, and I didn't have to carry all these things and have the burden of the pain. And little things like the fact I was able to wear a white bikini was just so freeing. I called it my hysterectomy bikini and I loved that. It was nice to be able to go to the beach and not stress about bleeding everywhere. So that's another bonus. Obviously there is no organization to this video. I'm kind of going all over from point to point, but another final point I wanted to mention, in case it isn't obvious by all the ways I'm saying I'm happy, my mental health has improved so much along with the physical health, because obviously, one, I'm not in pain, but two, I'm not completely clouded by heavy painkillers. I'm not going to talk too long about this, but I was on so many painkillers before. I really didn't feel like I was alive for a good few months at the end because I was so drugged up on all sorts of heavy painkillers like oxycodone and even just taking the CBD, which I did have. I think it can be very helpful, but overall, all of these things were definitely just making me feel not there and not great. I did find it very useful in terms of controlling the pain, but I'm sure anyone with long-term chronic health injuries along those lines, if you're on heavy painkillers, it can really fuck with you and fuck with your mind, and I'm so grateful that I can feel a lot more aware and awake without them. I'm not saying this to demonize painkillers or anything like that, but hopefully that makes sense. Overall, I just feel like every single area of my life has improved so much since I made this decision, and I hope that if you're in a position right now where you think you need to have this surgery, that you make the best decision for you. And it might be opting to have the surgery and maybe your life will greatly improve like mine, or you might go down a different path. I just want to share this information because it is such a big decision and it is very scary, but it can be really good. And I'm just so glad I did it. I wish I made this choice earlier in my life. I can't go back in time and change it, but I can just make up for lost time now and enjoy my life pain-free, even though it is an unfortunate circumstance to have this condition or had in the past, because I don't have it anymore. I've been thinking about this a lot too, not only because it was coming up to the year mark, but because I went away with one of my friends for his birthday weekend, and the previous year I was in so much pain, and he noticed, he was talking to me about it, how in the previous year I was on painkillers, I wasn't fully present, and I woke up each night when we were in this big cabin in Mullaney to have boiling hot baths in the middle of the night. I was just so uncomfortable, and most of the suitcase I packed things to make me comfortable. Whereas this year I went and I was happy and free, and from people the outside looking in even noticed that. My husband notices that I'm a lot happier too, and I feel like even my dogs probably notice to some extent, because I am going out on runs with them a lot longer and more runs than just regular walks. Overall, it's obviously been a good decision for me. While I know it's not the right decision for everyone, I guess I wish I had heard positive stories like mine, in the fact that everything has gone even better than I thought it would. For how bad it was, just every facet of my life kind of being affected by pain and just discomfort, everything has greatly improved, and I think I'll wrap it up there. I hope this video has made enough sense. I know I was rambling a bit, but I just wanted to get all of these thoughts out and say, to sum up, I feel alive for the first time in a long time. This past year I've lived and done so many more things and enjoyed my life so much more than I had for the past 15 years, which I know sounds really sad, but it is a good thing. I feel free, and I'm just so happy that I was able to get to this place. I feel lucky in a sense to be able to get this diagnosis and have a doctor that helps me and to be able to afford the surgery. I know that not everyone will be able to do that, but I do hope that by sharing this story and this update, it's a little bit of a hopeful thing to look at. I know certainly I would have wished that I could have looked into a crystal ball and seen how things would turn out prior to the surgery, because I definitely had my fears and anxieties, but it all worked out. Before I go, I just wanted to thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please give me a thumbs up if you did, and subscribe if you haven't already. But like I said, I will be leaving you here, and hopefully I'll see you next time. Bye.